Well, I think there was a feeling right from the start of this summit that there was not going to be some incredibly optimistic declaration coming out at the end today in that final statement, because principally countries don't see eye to eye on global warming. There are several different camps. There are those, for example, the European Union and the United States, who want to work together to bring down to neutral the gas emissions by 2050. But there are others, notably China and Australia, which are very dependent on coal, which don't want to reduce their dependence on fossil fuels too quickly, because that will have a negative effect on their economy. So they are less willing to take part in that. So that is why, if you look at the declaration today, it's no longer we're going to hope for carbon neutrality by 2050, but it's by the middle of the century, which basically means they're giving in to China, which has said it would only be willing to look at that by 2060. On top of that, of course, there are many challenges facing the developed world when it comes to helping poorer nations and the developing world. Vast amounts of money have been pledged to go to those countries to help them deal with climate change, to be ready to bring down their emission levels by 2050 or 2060. But that money is still slow in getting there. So there is some progress, not much progress, and I think a lot of concern. We heard it today from Britain's Prince Charles. This was the last chance saloon coming up at the COP26 to get the climate deal sorted out, the Paris Climate Accord, and also from Boris Johnson, the British Prime Minister, who's due to hold a press conference very shortly and will no doubt talk about that. He says that he's not that over-optimistic about there being a breakthrough at the upcoming COP26 summit, but everything will be done to make sure that as much progress as possible can be made.
Well, you just mentioned the COP26 there. You know, scientists are urging for some concrete action on climate change. Given what happened at the G20, do you think that there might be something concrete that comes out of this COP26 summit?
Well, the big problem here, Monty, is that, as you mentioned, the two of the biggest polluters in the world are not there. The first one being China, which is the world's biggest polluter and the second biggest economy. Chinese President Xi Jinping hasn't been out of the country since before the COVID crisis started. He's not here in Rome at the G20 summit, much to the disappointment of the organizers, and neither is the Russian President Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin in Russia, which has lots of energy to sell to other countries around the world, notably gas. So there is a feeling that, well, it's 80% of carbon emissions that are emitted by the G20 nations, and two of the biggest ones are not here in Rome, and they won't be present in Scotland, in Glasgow either. So that is already a big disappointment to the organisers. But I think that the other countries that are there will persevere in a bid to try to move forward, and this call that something has to be done. There has to be a global coming together to fight climate change. This is not something that just one single country can do on its own. It's only when there is safety in numbers, if you like, that the whole world can make progress and the whole world can guarantee the future, not only for young people, but for the whole of mankind. And that is really the essential message being put forward as we go towards the COP26, which kicks off really later today in Glasgow.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. Okay, International Affairs Editor Philip Turrell. Philip, thanks so much as always.